I guess we still cannot get to talk to Mr. Adesina. We'll try to get him down to the studio if we can when he gets into the country. Of course, you know that the president has commenced his vacation today, which will last up until the 10th of February 2016. The presidency says the vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, will perform the functions of the president while he's away, and that the break is in compliance with Section 145, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution. And according to the communication, he said that President Muhammadu Buhari has dispatched a formal notice of his vacation to the Senate President, Dr. Saraki, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Dogara. The President spokesperson, Mr. Adesina, was supposed to be talking to us, but unfortunately... All right, I understand that we have him back now. If you can hear me clearly, Mr. Adesina, good to have you on the program if you can hear me now. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. Let's continue with our conversation now. Let's move on to the reactions trailing the Supreme Court judgment on the governorship elections. You've heard Dr. Alex Oti there in Abia. That's one reaction on one side. Some of the victors at the Supreme Court also have been talking. The PDP is saying that the judgment is victory for democracy, but we've seen some judgment going for APC in Ogun State, and of course in Oyo State, and even in Lagos State. It's gone in the way of the APC. There are a lot of arguments left, right, and center, but let's keep the conversation going. Of course, you can join us on Twitter. The hashtag is there, hashtag politics today, and at CTV Politics at Shewaki. Those are the handles you can get to talk to us. Let's get some other analysts and people who are interested in this matter talking to us. Mr. Ken Okolibo joins us, a former commissioner in Delta State and, of course, a PDP member. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much. It's always my pleasure.
Loads and loads of debate about what the Supreme Court, as the verdict of the Supreme Court in some almost 6 or 7 governorship elections now. But at first hearing, when you heard some of these judgments, what came to your mind?
Well, what I thought the Supreme Court did was that the Supreme Court was righting the wrongs that had been done by the lower tribunal and by the appeal court. You know, the Supreme Court is the highest court. We know there are 3 courts of first instance. The court of first instance is the tribunal, the appeal, and the Supreme Court. Let's not be sentimental. A lot of people have done what you call media trial. You don't use sentiments. If you're going, the Electoral Act says substantial compliance. If there is substantial compliance, then the election is seen as fair. And we also know there is what you call the preponderance of the results of INEC, always assumed to be real and to be true. I heard Alex Oti, the governorship candidate for ABGA. I mean, hearing him now is a bit more conciliatory than the approach he has had. He was already acting like a governor. In fact, I saw his Christmas advert. He put it as governor-elect. And he did not even want to wait for the Supreme Court's decision before referring to himself as governor-elect. What am I saying here? In Abia, for example, they said Osisioma Ongwa, Isiala Ngwa, and Obi Ngwa, for example, that the result had been cancelled. But what did the appeal court and the tribunal, the appeal court say? They said the tribunal was wrong in not upholding the results that were uploaded before the supplementary elections were held. That's very wrong. If INEC as a body did not accept results that came from those 3 local governments initially and said they were going to have a rerun because they've been tainted, how would you now use the former results to now declare Alex Oti the winner of the election, thereby disenfranchising hundreds of thousands of people who should normally have gone to the poll if and then they knew that the results were not going to stand? And in the case of Akwa Ibom, for example, you used one local government, on our local government, and you said that a weakness came from Ward 3 and said the elections did not hold. You should be able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that at least in almost, if there are 10 wards, for example, like they had in that local government, you should be able to prove that there was non-compliance in at least 95% or let's say 75% of those 10 wards. You can't use one unit in one ward, a prosecution weakness, to determine what happened in an election of that magnitude. So what we're saying here is that what the Supreme Court has done, even though they have not given us their reasons, they say they're going to give us their reasons on the 12th and on the 15th of this month, what they have done is they have looked at this thing dispassionately. They've not been sentimental about it. There's a difference between being sentimental about a situation and looking at the situation from the facts before the court. That's exactly the way I see it.
All right, because a lot of people are already trying to make sense of what the Supreme Court judgment looks like, and it looks like we've seen some conservativeness in the Supreme Court judgment. Basically, none of it is a few of the appeal court ruling it has squashed, and it's upheld a whole lot of them. But one will be asking the question, though we do not have the details right now, but one will be looking at the implication for a party like your party, the PDP, saying this judgment for them is it's something that will help them galvanize a party for the future, especially as they're looking forward to 2019. And a lot of people had criticized the judiciary being twisted. But again, we look at it again, and people are going around the way again and saying, well, the judiciary has done well. Is it a talk of whenever it favors you, that's when the judiciary has done well?
Well, what I like is the reaction of Peter Side. He said he had accepted the verdict. Umana says there should be some soul searching. And I like the fact that the chairman of the APC, John Oyegu, retracted the statement they credited to him, saying that he wanted judges to be probed. What I see here is, from the implications for PDP, my party, is we now have control of those states. Remember that don't forget that we have lost Kogi, and now we have 12 governors. It would have been disastrous if we had to go into an election in Akwa Ibom and in Rivers, especially.
How? How do you mean need to be
Yes,
disastrous?
it would have been disastrous because that would have meant 2 states would have been hanging on the balance. In any election, you don't know who would be the winner, especially with the media advantage and the press disadvantage that these 2 states were getting in terms of how the elections went there. I'm not saying that the elections were 100% there. Of course, there were incidents of violence, and there could have been incidents of ballot snatching, but they were very negligible. That is what the Supreme Court has just told us, that there was substantial compliance. And so because these 2 states, especially, and Abia from nowhere suddenly was going to be lost, that should have been 3 states. Abia wasn't even a case of rerun. It was a case of saying Alex Oti should have been sworn in. So there is no way you say you leave a party with 9 governors going into an election in 2019. Ask yourself, what would be the implication? It would be, almost going into the elections like you're handicapped. And so now that we are on a firm ground and we have 3 states which were on the shaky ground, the implications that we have now is that if the governors, which we believe, especially for Wike, who is doing so well in Rivers, if the governors continue, and Udom Emmanuel, if they continue on the stride in which they are going, in fact, Ikpeazu also is doing quite well because he's the one that has introduced cement road now. And he's already feeding, if I remember well, he's already feeding his pupils with 1 meal a day. If they continue on the track record in which they are going, what we are telling Nigerians is that it is not all over for us in the PDP, because right now we must agree that we are down. We can't deny that fact. That is the implications of what is going to happen in 2019. And then again, the South and the Southeast will be a pivotal stand for the North, which only has Gombe now. All the other 18 states of the North are firmly in control of the APC. It's only Gombe now that we have with PDP. So it will be a galvanizing point for our brothers in the North to be able to also rally around to see if some states can be captured in 2019 by the PDP.
All right, we'll take a moment. And when we return, Mr. Okoligbo will be telling us more. And we're hoping to get reaction from the national chairman of the APC, Dr. John Oyegu. That's ahead. Join us again.